Monetization is a controversial topic,
The problem with MMORPGs is that there's too much monetization in the game.
but the fact remains there will need to be microtransactions or a subscription or a hefty box price so they can afford to make the game. But what will they actually decide to do? Let's talk about the various tools in the game developer's toolbox. At the end, we'll give our thoughts on what Riot might do about monetization. A box price, or paying for a game or expansion upfront, is probably the oldest monetization model for PC games. It stems from the days where internet was slow and it was faster and easier to buy a CD to install the game from. It has the advantage of being the most straightforward model, but has two main drawbacks. The first is that it's more difficult to draw in new players. It's easier to convince someone to try a game that's free than one that costs $60 upfront. And the second drawback is that it is a one-time payment. This works well for many single-player games or games that put out a new version every year, but it does not work well for games that stay under the same title and have ongoing server costs. As an alternative or in addition to a box price, some games require subscriptions to play, or make it quite difficult to play at a high level without one. Subscriptions are commonplace now in the days of software as a service, but MMOs like WoW were early adopters of the practice. They realized that rather than charging for something once, you can charge them on a recurring basis. This helps cover those ongoing infrastructure costs and gives companies a reliable source of revenue. It also helps with the sticker shock of a high box price, while having a larger amortized price overall. The downside to subscriptions is that they feel bad if you're not playing the game while you have an active subscription, and they make it more difficult for a returning player to get hooked again. Just think of how many times you thought you'd play just one game of League of Legends before getting sucked back in again. A battle pass is like a subscription's younger, more attractive sibling. Instead of paying a recurring fee to play the game, you can choose to buy into a regularly occurring battle pass that unlocks rewards for playing the game and sometimes completing certain objectives. They are an optional purchase and are usually seen as a good bargain compared to purchasing cosmetics and other items normally. In return, the developer gets semi-reliable, reoccurring revenue and keeps you playing the game. The idea is that people who play more are more likely to buy more. This creates a self-perpetuating cycle, from playing more to buying more to playing more to buying more, at least in theory. And they seem to be working, as battle passes have swept across the industry in recent years. Anyone who's played a modern multiplayer game has surely come across some purchasable cosmetics. They are a staple now, whether it's buying outfits, pets, mounts, or real estate. Some companies are even trying to turn these cosmetics into NFTs. But to many, purchasable cosmetics defeat the point of playing games like MMOs. And I can understand that. Grinding for hours for a mount when someone can simply buy a cooler one doesn't feel good. Similarly, companies are incentivized to put out more cosmetics, especially cooler cosmetics all the time. There quickly become so many that, with a limited design space, you'll get many similar cosmetics or new ones that completely blow the old ones out of the water. I think Riot has had an interesting approach to this in Valorant, bringing in many different art styles to make skin with. Sometimes they feel a bit out of place, but they are really cool. Not sure how it would work in an MMO though. Similarly to selling cosmetics or selling pay-to-win items. In some games, the most powerful gear can only be purchased, not earned. While this is often expected in Asia, it is extremely disliked in the West outside of mobile games. We probably don't have to worry about this option though, as Riot's completely shun pay-to-win in their other games. They even made a card game that limits how much money you can spend buying cards. That's unheard of. So what will Riot do? Obviously it's hard to say for sure. I don't think even Ghostcrawler knows at this point. But I am fairly confident they will go with a freemium model. That is to say, they won't require an upfront box price or a subscription. All of Riot's games have been built on the freemium model, and I don't think that's going to change now. Having a hefty box price just makes it difficult to acquire new players. It's not a coincidence that Final Fantasy XIV's recent success is after they switched to a fairly generous free trial. Riot wants to make games you can drag your friends into playing, and it's hard to do with a box price. Similarly, Ghostcrawler envisions players taking breaks to play other games, especially one of the other Riot games. This feels pretty bad to do with a mandatory subscription model, so I think that's another point against subscriptions. I do think a battle pass is extremely likely. Riot's been adding it to all of their games, though how it will work will depend on the structure of the premium cosmetics. The premium cosmetics are really the interesting decision here. They will surely exist in some form, but I'm not quite sure what that will look like. I'm leaning towards a model where premium cosmetics will be able to be both bought or farmed. I wonder if they'll take inspiration from League's skin crafting system. Maybe you could disenchant multiple drops from one instance to craft a rarer drop from that instance. That would go along with Riot's mantra of respecting player time. Perhaps you could buy some universal currency that works for any dungeon with this system. Or maybe it'll be like Valorant shop, where you can only buy the latest bundle or from a small selection of random skins. This helps skins feel rare since they're difficult to acquire after the initial release. I wouldn't want this completely though, it's always cool to show off your flashy gear from the new content. At the end of the day, Riot has to sell something. They can't afford to make an epic game for free, and their monetization decisions will not please everyone. What do you think Riot will or should do? Let us know in the comments down below, and please subscribe to see more content like this.